quick wink at my reflection in the mirror, and I was walking from my bedroom, humming as I made my way into the living room to begin the ritual of finding my keys. The ever-elusive keys. They were almost as hard to find as the right man. Gabby and I met for lunch every weekday. We'd probably meet on weekends, too, but her whiny boyfriend claimed she spent more time with me as it was. Shocker. He was about as exciting as a Hootie and the Blowfish concert. He was very hooty. I lived in a 2-bedroom loft above an old hardware store downtown. It had an open floor plan with hardwood floors and a bistro-style kitchen. There was a small dining area. An island with stools separated the kitchen from the living room, which was filled with overstuffed furniture and a massive entertainment armoire. Overall, the design was simple, somewhat modern yet possessing warmth and the tone of the mocha paint color and fabric choices. The place pretty much screamed modern bachelor butch. "Good morning, Julie." Danny walked out of the bathroom scratching his stomach. He took almost every Friday off, something he could manage because he owned his own business. "I hope all of the screaming last night didn't keep you up." "Danny." I fumbled through the bowl on the kitchen island meant for fruit, but filled with bills. Why should I be surprised? I'm the only man who's ever set foot in this apartment that hasn't run out of it screaming. He said in his best Austin Powers voice, holding up a hand like a claw. "I wouldn't worry, sweetie. Someday you'll be able to lure a man up here. Maybe if you offered him some cookies." "You have it all wrong." I walked over to the coffee table, continuing my search. "They should be moaning, not screaming." Turning and lifting the couch cushions, I added, "Of course, I'd probably scream too, once I realized Satan was lying on top of me." Uh-oh. Danny went into the kitchen and took a bottle of water from the fridge. "Does Julie need a Midol?" "More like a pistol," I mumbled to myself, standing in front of the couch perusing the room for the next place to look. I did my best to keep my eyes off Danny, standing there with a sexy smile, wearing nothing but his Calvins. "No need to be so bitter." He laughed as he leaned against the bar between the kitchen and the living room. "I told you I'd give you a go. That's what roommates are for." "Ew!" I looked him up and down with a scowl, while secretly wishing he'd bend me over the couch. "A lifetime of masturbation sounds more pleasurable. And no, you freak, that's not what roommates are for. People have roommates to cut their living expenses." "Well, in that case, I guess I shouldn't give you these." He held up my leather keychain, jingling it around as if to taunt me. The way Danny was looking at me, I felt like the Millennium Falcon being pulled into the Death Star by the force of his animal tractor beam magnetism. "What? I like Star Wars, people. A little homosexuality and you folks have me clutching pearls as I watch reruns of the Golden Girls. Shame on you. How long have you had—" "Oh, never mind." I walked up to him and snatched the keys out of his hand. "If Gabby calls, will you please tell her I'm on my way?" "You're welcome," he said with his "I'm too sexy" smirk. "Just what time do you plan on being home? You know how I get when I have to wait for you to get dinner on the table." "I told you to stop watching Streetcar. Gay men are supposed to relate to Blanche, not Stanley. And take a shower, for Christ's sake. You smell like stale sex." Closing the door, stifling his opportunity to continue the delightful banter, I took a deep breath, unable to believe I'd been in love with that man for the greater part of the last year. Okay, so maybe I was perfect, but my judgment wasn't? I climbed into my new Mini Cooper, a graduation present from my father, Jacob. He and my mother, Delilah, divorced when I was in high school, which had initiated this long tradition of insane competition between the two of them to outdo one another with expensive gifts. The car was his way of getting back at her for the 3-week trip to Europe she'd given me for my birthday. I tell you what, people, being an only child, priceless. I cranked up the stereo volume, and the thumping club music enveloped me. I pulled out of the parking lot to head for Paoli's, the restaurant where Gabby and I religiously met for lunch. At 28 and a half, and only recently a college graduate, I still had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I'd never been very goal-oriented. I sort of just went with it and allowed myself to be blown around like litter on the side of the highway. I was a true symbol of my do-nothing generation. I'd gone through 3 majors, dropped out of school, and worked in restaurants for several years. Finally, 10 months ago, I went back to school and finished a degree in major number 4, communications. Just after I moved in with Danny, he helped me get a job tending bar at the Downspout, one of the gay clubs downtown. For once, I'd planned ahead and gotten a job before the student loan bills started coming in. My parents had paid for university during the first 3 majors I'd gone through. When I'd gone back, I told them that I wanted to pay for it myself. I felt like I'd wasted their money the first time. Or times, as the case may be. I didn't want to take the chance that I'd drop out again and still have no degree. They did, of course, pay all my living expenses, so it wasn't as if I'd completely struck out on my own. I was still dependent on them. I know, some of you hate me already. Well, piss off. What am I supposed to do? Say no when they offer? It was always a little surprising to me that my parents coddling me wasn't one of the things Danny ever seemed to make fun of. It was perhaps the only thing about me that seemed off limits to his wickedly acute sense of what was and wasn't right for me. My parents, in return, both seemed to love Danny. It was as if they were afraid I might accidentally hack off a limb with a butter knife should I be left alone without some type of supervision. It was very annoying, but also nice, knowing they love me so much.